used in her tradition, and a lot of you may know or may not that Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee, right? So coffee originated in the Kaffa region of Ethiopia. So the legend goes that there was a boy that was a sheep herder, and he was herding his sheep. And he noticed that once his sheep ate this little red berry, they would get really excited and hyper. And so he's like, what is this magic? And then you could tell, well, this is what we know in terms of...
After that, both of them, his friend, they thought, let's taste it. They taste it, then they can roast it, and they boil it. After that, everybody used to it in the market. We drink it as a gathering with friends, family, birthday, when you come from work. We gather like making popcorn, like that, we call Himbasha bread. So when you make coffee, neighbors will call each other. We don't drink just ourselves. Whatever surround our neighbors, they come together and sit and drink and talk, just for knowing each other and spending each other what's going on in our life, what's going on our kids. We talk each other's. If I make the morning coffee and breakfast, when I will make it lunchtime.
So coffee was really guarded and protected. And then came the Europeans. And now all of us are hooked on coffee. And it's the first ever coffee plant that traveled to Europe went to France, and it was kept in France. And I'm forgetting the name of the king. I have all my notes, but I hate reading off notes. But I do want to give you his name. So the boy that we're talking about, his name is Kaldi. So the man who we all, owe a great deal for discovering coffee. The boy, his name was Kaldi. And then coffee along the way in Ethiopia was also used in battle, right, to give energy to the soldiers, which completely makes sense. And then coffee has a long history in terms of it being in the Islamic world for a really long time before the Europeans were able to get in on the coffee market. So the Sufis would use it overnight in meditation and in prayers. And then coffee became the thing. So instead of having a bar, I guess you would gather around coffee and you would have political debates. You would have religious discussions, philosophy, it would all be done around coffee houses, all throughout Damascus, all throughout Egypt. So it was a big deal, but it was never consumed in an extra large cup.
Always and so on.
Yeah, so these little cups are called funjans. And that's, you guys call it funjan in Ethiopia. We also call it funjan. I think the Turkish, the Persians, the kind of universal name.
Yeah, Persians call it finjan.
Finjan as well,
In
yeah.
Arabic it's finjan as well.
And in Arabic it's in finjan as well, that's right, yeah. And so it is always, so with great respect, and you take it in doses, right? And always with community. And so that is, and then here comes some horns. Triple, and double. And sadly, economically, Ethiopia never really benefited from coffee, right? So even though Ethiopia was the birthplace of coffee, the Ethiopians never really economically benefited from coffee. Nor do we copyright things. That's a very European thing as well, right? And a Western ideology. It is to be shared with friends and community. But from Yemen, right? So it was guarded up until the 15th century. Like very strict coffee. If anybody's caught, it was like smuggling narcotics, right? So if you were caught trying to export coffee, it was a huge penalty, right? And I believe what are we talking here? And coffee again is a universal word for coffee. Like in Arabic, qahwa or qahwa houses. Those were the names of the coffee shops. Turkish kafa. English coffee, Italian cafe. But around the 16th century, the trade routes of Venice and the Ottomans brought coffee into Europe, right? At first, many Europeans were suspicious about it, right? So they called it the bitter invention of Satan. So all these Muslims are drinking it. Can't be good. And so I think it was Pope Clement VIII that approved that coffee is acceptable. And it was way too delicious to be left to non-Christians alone. So the first major coffee houses were in Venice, 1645, then Oxford, London, and Paris in the late 1600s. Right, and it's made out of clay, which is really good for you. It alkalines the water naturally. So clay pots were used throughout Africa and still are to keep water. So growing up, we didn't have coolers. We had giant clay pots that would cool the water naturally. And so in terms of taste, I think the coffee just tastes way more magical in these clay pots. Maybe I'm biased. And so we have a couple of jebanas going. And what we're gonna do is show you what the beans look like. So it's not your barista just, getting the roasted beans. It starts with the unroasted coffee beans. Did you give me the bag? Yeah. So this is what, and for us personally, we don't have just a bag of roasted beans from a month or 2 weeks ago. We actually roast them as we go. So the coffee you'll be enjoying today is an Ethiopian Arabica bean. And it goes from this, it was like this in the morning, and she roasted it at home. And so we'll pass that bag around if you guys wanna see. And I think we're gonna roast some just to get the aroma, which is a big part of enjoying the coffee.
This is unroasted coffee.
And this is
It
roast.
must look like lentils.
There's a plate here if you want. Hoping to maybe burn some frankincense. Is anyone going to be bothered by incense burning? It's kind of part of the whole tradition. So frankincense, along with coffee, right, has a long history in the eastern parts of Africa and all throughout the Middle East as well.
Most of the frankincense grows in Tigray, north of Tigray, called Shire. It has too many different kinds of smells. Quite bigger. The force of incense plants.
Yeah, from the acacia.
Yeah.
They grow from the acacia trees. So frankincense is a sticky gum, essentially resin that seeps through the bark of the trees. And throughout history, it was used for many medicinal purposes. Spiritually used to ward off bad spirits or bad energy, just like sage in the indigenous culture.
Yeah, almost similar.
I learned to make it myself now. But yeah, it's amazing for your skin, and in terms of like keeping bad energy away or warding off spirits, frankincense is always used if you move into a new home. If someone's graduating or someone's getting married, there's always. I do think that it does wonderful things when it's roasted and you can actually smell it. And then we're also going to burn some of the frankincense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. What do you guys use frankincense for in Tigray, other than burning it? Do you use it medicinally?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the one most of the Indians say it's we keep it in the chest stuff.
Yeah.
We use it as medicine.
Yeah.
As it's oil body spray too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and also really good for your oral health.
I have a question. You said you can chew it as well?
Yeah.
So the one you have, like, you can just put that in your mouth?
We have the pure one.
This one, not so much. There are softer species of frankincense. So grade A frankincense is to be consumed, and then the one that is usually used to burn is usually the lesser grades. And so what I do, because it gets hard over time, especially when you're like importing it here, is I soak it in water and then I chew it. So it gets rid of like gum disease, any bacterial stuff going on in the mouth, and Yeah, yeah.
This one's very clear and white. The one you're chewing it, it's pure. It's clear one.
It's here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I have it at home, but I don't bring it today.
Yeah, and we actually make I think we grew up chewing like a gum that was made out of frankincense, that was all natural. Which one do you use? This.
If I don't take the other one,
Should I burn it in this little one?
yeah.
This little guy? And these are also made out of clay, so clay was utilized and used a lot in terms of pottery, storing food. So this little guy, you might have seen the bigger versions of this,
Yes.
but this is called the mubkha. So this is what we use to burn incense as well. So are we all ready for a blessing from the frankincense?
Oh, yes, please.
All right. Okay, perfect. It's a self-starting charcoal, so it'll be great. Yeah, and sadly, I mean, in terms of, you have big corporations like Tim Hortons, Starbucks that, benefit greatly from this wonderful thing that came out of Ethiopia. Like the many things that come out of Africa that are exploited by the West. And recently, I think there was a German company that was trying to patent coffee. Have you heard about this? Like no one is gonna be like, give me a quick cup of coffee. Because it just doesn't happen. It's an hour-long tradition. Like you're gonna sit, you're gonna spill the beans about your life, whether you like it or not. Yeah, it's just and naturally just conversation around coffee. Just the way that. And I invite everybody to just let's do it like we intended. Let's chat, share your stories about coffee, where your favorite cup of coffee, just and I don't think we need to raise our hands or add anything. We can just naturally see where this conversation leads. But I'm gonna come around, and if you don't want this close to you, please let me know. But I'm gonna give everyone a little blessing of the frankincense. I'll start with the pyro over at the end. I think you deserve it. You've earned it for your local fire.
I have some more. I have some more.
Story here because she read the newsletter, and I'm not a big coffee fan, but I really enjoy coffee from specific areas. So I've realized now that I just don't like the big coffee. So I like coffee from the African areas. We were in Morocco a couple of years ago and loved the coffee there, loved the Ethiopian coffee. And then he didn't talk about it though, even though I asked him to, but in the south of India, there's something called filter coffee, and it's also had in a small glass, just